Okay, so previously we have created a schedule for courses, and we can view occurrences, so the dates of the events based on the course schedule. Schedule can be weekly, and we can select the weekdays for the course. Now, based on this schedule and occurrences, we want to actually generate lessons. So for this, we are going to create a lessons table. Now, in the lessons table, we're going to have user ID, course ID, classroom ID, status, and start. Status is like happened or didn't happen or was cancelled, whatever. Then start is the time when the lesson starts. User ID is the user that is actually the teacher for this particular lesson. And in theory, what if usually there is one teacher for a yoga class, but for some specific lesson, there is a substitute. That's why we add the user ID to the lesson once again, not only to the course. And we're adding classroom ID to the lesson. Why is that? Because what if one of the lessons happens in a different classroom from the default classroom? So let's create the scaffold. Rails generate scaffold, lesson, user references, classroom belongs to, it doesn't matter, usually references are belongs to, and course belongs to. Yeah, belongs to is actually easier to type. Then status, it's just going to be a string and start, date, time. Okay. Oh, and again, I generated the JBuilder files that we don't need and so on. So let's say git clean ft, git reset hard. And again, I will run this migration with no helpers and so on. Okay, let's have a look at our lessons migration, user, classroom, course, status, and start. Okay, Rails db migrate. And we've added the migration. Now let's save our changes, and then we're going to edit this table. Git add all, git commit m, create lessons table. Okay, and now we're going to have a look at our lessons table. Let's go to, actually, we'll first add our lessons to our navigation. Let's say views, layouts, header. In the header, we will have a link to lessons path. Here and here. It will be lessons. And the image will be, let's have a look at font awesome. Maybe a list of items or a calendar or whatever. Let's say list. Okay, now we navigate to the lessons. We can create a lesson with a user, with a classroom, with a course. Now you see, we cannot select the course normally because we didn't declare what we want to display for the course association. Then a status and a start time. Okay, but what if we want to actually generate lessons? Wow. To generate lessons, we need to create a method inside courses. But first, let's have a look at our lesson validations. Let's try to create a lesson. The status still can be blank, and the start time, well, it is present by default. So let's go to our lesson.rb and add some validations. Let's say validates, status, presence, true. Okay, create lesson, status cannot be blank, and we'll do the same for start. Okay, let's try creating, and you see start already has this asterisk. But by default, start is giving us the today's date. Okay. Now, let's add a select field for our statuses. So we'll declare the available statuses in lesson.rb. We will say something like statuses equals, let's say, planned, then confirmed, and cancelled. Okay, and we'll say def self.statuses, and we will say statuses dot map status, and we'll have the key and the value both as status. And end. And now we will be able to call statuses in our form and display the available statuses. So let's go to lessons. We have lessons form, and here in input status, we will just be able to say something like this. Collection, and in the collection we will say lesson.statuses. Let's see. We go to new lesson, and we can select one of the statuses. And we can actually add some additional styling. So let's say include blank false. So we always have to have a status. And we will say as radio buttons. Okay, so this is how we can select a status. And actually, let's make all the statuses for all the lessons planned by default. So we can roll back our migration, Rails DB roll back. And we will add something like default planned. Okay, now we migrate once again, Rails DB migrate. Rails server, and by default the status is marked as present and as planned. Okay, looks nice. So we can select the status. And what about the start time and date? Well, we can also add some additional styling for it. Let's add a minute step. So we will go to our form. Here is our lesson form, and we will say comma minute step. It will be 15. Okay, so it is 0, 15, 30, 45. And let's say not all the years will be present. Let's say start year and end year. So start year will be something like date dot today dot year -1, and we will also add an end year, and the end year will be date dot today dot year +1. So let's see the difference. Now we can select the date between like -5 years +5 years. I refresh, and now it's -1 year +1 year. So it basically just makes the input more comfortable, and you are not likely to be adding lessons manually for years more than 1 year behind or in front of us. Okay, so we have added some basic styling for our lessons. We've added these available statuses. We now can select from the collection of available statuses in our form, and we've added some minimal validation for our status field. And that's it. So I'm going to save the changes, git status, git add all, git commit main, lessons, views, and validations. And that's it. Thank you.